Why are they trying to hide this from us? Have you ever felt that somebody's trying to manipulate you? If not, think again. Manipulation is everywhere, but good manipulation is subtle. You may not be aware of the influence imposed on you. Walking through billboards, scrolling our social networks, we see advertisements that are trying to get us to buy some products. When you Google something on the internet, this information is collected to show you targeted content. Big corporations know what you want, and there's no way they'll pass up the opportunity to use this information so that you'll do what they want. If you're enjoying our videos, be sure to like and subscribe. Also, hit that little bell icon to be notified every time we post a new video. However, most people know how it all works. The news about some information stolen from the internet is unlikely to surprise anyone. Online marketing is an obvious type of manipulation, but some mind control and brainwashing techniques will always be hidden from the public eye. On April 10, 1953, Allen Dulles, the director of the CIA, made a speech about the gathering of Princeton alumni. The tension between the government and media was increasing every day due to the Korean War. The New York Times had just published an investigation about American prisoners of war who came back home brainwashed by communists. Some of them even refused to return to their homeland. Dulles was just appointed the first civilian director of the CIA, and he wanted to flesh out the new priorities of the agency. He expressed his doubts on whether Americans realize how serious the battle for men's minds is. He pointed out that the Soviet Union developed new technologies of brainwashing, assuming that the enemy may use hypnosis, chemical agents, or other methods of mind control to win the war of ideologies. During the 1950s, the American society was terrified by the stories about brainwashed GIs returning from Russia, Korea, and China. Various media sources kept publishing new sensational reports on secret methods of mind control that no one can resist. Such an atmosphere resulted in a mass paranoia that invaded the American culture. Brainwashing became an explanation of the very existence of the Soviet Union, as it was the only way to explain what makes millions of people support an obviously wrong ideology. The difference between the freedom of mind in the United States and the mind-controlling dictatorship in Russia became a front line of the Cold War. 3 days after Dulles delivered his speech, the CIA started a new top-secret program dubbed MK-Ultra. This program was focused on the use of chemical and biological materials that could modify the human behavior. MK-Ultra included various experiments with chemicals, electroshock therapy, radiation, drugs, and toxins of any kind. Some of the program subjects were volunteers, while others were forced to participate. There were many people who had completely no idea that the government tested new methods of psychological manipulation on them. The CIA was particularly interested in prisoners, as they were happy to participate in experiments in exchange for the revision of their sentences or extra recreational time. Whitey Bugler, a former gangster, described his experience as a constant panic and paranoia. He was hallucinating, he lost his appetite, and couldn't deal with anger. He remembers how his cell changed its shape. Sometimes he saw blood dripping from the ceiling. His inmates would turn into monsters and skeletons, so he felt like he lost his mind. Whitey Bugler didn't know that he was on LSD. The idea of using LSD to change people's behavior came from the Soviet Union, where scientists started studying this drug in the late 1940s. Being focused on new methods of defense at first, the CIA quickly switched its objectives, seeing all the advantages of LSD for offensive actions. In 1953, a group of CIA scientists came up with an idea of an unwitting experiment. The agency understood that unethical experiments may cause troubles in political circles, so from this moment, they selected single targets from among hundreds of civilians, putting the psychedelic drug in their drink and food. Even CIA employees became a part of the experiment without knowing about it. New projects appeared every day, and the most notorious of them was Operation Midnight Climax. In 1955, the CIA rented an apartment on 225 Chestnut Street, San Francisco. They turned it into a fancy place and decorated it with works of art. George White, who previously worked in the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, wanted to make this place glamorous and posh so that everyone who comes in would think about sex and wine. This place was a perfect trap. A bedroom was stuffed with bugs. Everything that happened inside was observed through two-way mirrors. Prostitutes who worked here for small amounts of cash invited unsuspecting victims to the bedroom and filled their drinks with huge doses of LSD. White sat behind a mirror and watched the action drinking his martini. Even though this experiment was aimed to study the effects of LSD, White was mostly interested in sex. He claimed that this program will help the CIA understand how to work with prostitutes and how to extract information from men using sex. However, White himself described these experiments as, quote, fun, fun, fun. Perhaps this would go on forever, but in the spring of 1963, the CIA Inspector General's staff, John Vance, became concerned about unethical experiments on non-voluntary people. Even though MK-Ultra directors insisted this program was very important for ensuring the safety of American citizens, the Inspector General decided to close it. In 1977, Senator Edward Kennedy headed the investigation of the effects of MK-Ultra. It turned out that some participants of the program didn't withstand the psychological terror. Dr. Frank Olson was one of those who decided to leave the program in the only way that seemed possible. He jumped out of the window after unwittingly consuming another LSD-infused drink. CIA staffers claim that they don't have any details of this experiment left. They say that in 1973, the director of MKUltra ordered his crew to get rid of all the recordings. Is it true? Nobody knows. But there's one thing we know for sure. If the government managed to develop a new method of mind control, we all may be guinea pigs in a bigger experiment. Alright, Top Fivers. If you haven't already, make sure to visit our other channel, The Brilliant, for even more interesting list videos that'll blow your mind. But I'm warning you, the videos over on The Brilliant are extremely addicting to watch as well. There'll be a link in the description to the channel, so make sure to come and visit us. Or you can go to our latest video popping up on screen right now. Oh, and have you visited thefinestpost.com to enjoy the most amazing articles you'll ever get to read?